I truly feel like the league caught up to me when it comes to the Chiefs, because I really haven't thought the Chiefs were a great team their 2 last Super Bowl years. The year they won against the Niners, and then last year where they make it against the Eagles. I even stumbled across a clip the other day, like where I asked, I think it was the 4 of us, I think we had Brandon here, and I asked y'all around this time last year, I'm like, you guys think Mahomes' best years are behind him?
This is going to sound like so much hate, and I swear it's not.
Welcome to the Warner Brothas Podcast. My name is Keenan, joined by my brother Kyle, joined by Timmy. This will be coming out clearly on Thursday, where we record every Wednesday. Guys, how's it going?
Hella good.
We are in the fantasy playoffs. There's been a lot of fantasy dialogue. Timmy and I actually did a fantasy thing talking about our league yesterday, so that was super fun. Glad you had the idea, Timmy. Glad we got to do it. But
no invite.
Kyle, have you seen that video yet?
I was like, what's this?
It was
Timmy,
a throwback.
It was like early in the league's history, I just I did like weekly reviews like for like a year and some change. And so that's why I put as a poll in there, should I go back to, like, because I had weekly reviews, and Timmy like just approached me and said, hey, let's talk about this. And I was like, okay. So Timmy and I did talk about it.
I started the podcast.
I don't know. Did you see it, Kyle?
I started the podcast. I
okay.
plan to like skim through topic by topic and see what's going on here. I'm very intrigued to see. I'm very intrigued to see if you guys named anybody by name in this podcast, because it does seem like as an observer, because I think me and Shannon are the newest members, correct? Me and Shannon joined the same year.
Yeah, because you guys made us go from 10 to 12.
Joe, I believe, joined maybe the year before, maybe 2 years before. Joe D.
Joe's been in the league like around 7-ish years.
Okay.
Damn, I didn't even think it was that long. I thought it was like 5.
So me and Shannon are new.
I can tell you, he's been in the league 8 years.
Okay, so me and Shannon are the new guys.
Yeah, crazy, I know.
4 years now, maybe 3 or 4.
3.
Third season. So like, it definitely feels like a league, but it's also like, I don't want to say an outsider, but I still feel like I'm acclimating myself. But I do feel welcome and such. But
of course,
I watch the banter, and it's interesting. Like, it seems like a lot of guys are not having fun compared to my other leagues that I'm in, where also I'm kind of the outsider coming in. Like, it's not like a league I started or my man started, but like, I'm kind of the outsider. I'm filling in here, and the vibe in those leagues is like much happier. And there's actually like more dramatic things that happen in those leagues, to be honest. Like, it's like an extremely competitive league. And our league's honestly been pretty competitive over the last few years. Like, there was one year, Ken, like
this year was one of our most, if not our most competitive league, honestly.
Yeah, because you posted last night, like, you updated the last place finish, and I forget which year it was, but I was last place at 6-8. So that's a very competitive league.
Yes.
That's what you want when it's fantasy. So like, we have here's what I'll say. The fact that there is contention in our league, I love the passion from the guys, but the unhappiness kind of, it takes me by surprise. I'm like, what's the reason for the unhappiness?
We have some people like who can flip a switch.
Okay. The amount of trades.
Yeah, the trades went from 0 to 100 to 0. Like, that's just what it was like a spike, like the trade deadline where you just see people moving. It was literally that, where just trades were moving at that point. But yeah, we have a lot of even-tempered guys, and then we have some people who can just go. They're just up and down. So like, when you flip the light switch on and things get going, things can just like, people get really upset about certain things, and that's just how it goes. And this is what the life is. So, but this is next year will be the 13th season. This is the 12th season of our league. We started it my junior year in high school. So it's been going on for quite some time now. Enjoyable though. Appreciate the idea for that, Timmy. And without further ado, though, let's go from fantasy, which actually is very important for everybody. Good luck to anybody watching this who is in their fantasy playoffs right now or fighting for whatever the case may be. Enjoy yourself there. But let's head right into, I have a couple questions that's going to help us bridge into how the NFL's chaos has been going, because last week, a lot of movement, a lot going on in the NFL. So just want to ask a couple questions. First off, so far in this year, who is the biggest surprise to you? can be a player, can be a team, can even be a moment. But the biggest surprise to you so far this NFL season?
I just want to say,
go.
Brandon Petty came to me yesterday and was like, let's do biggest surprises, biggest disappointments next time I'm able to pod. And he's not able to pod today. We're stepping on his turf a little bit.
And I didn't know that. And I didn't even know that. So I guess we're telepathy a little bit there. But so biggest surprise for you guys this far. And we can talk about more with Brandon too, because really this is just going to highlight one for each of us. And then I actually had biggest disappointment too. So we'll talk about that too.
I think biggest surprise probably is just the Patriots and Drake May. Like, I was expecting them to be solid, probably right around 500, and they have a chance to be well above 500, potentially one of the best records in the league by the end of the year. So they went above and beyond my expectations. I definitely didn't think Drake May would be an MVP candidate and an MVP favorite for like a month. So that would probably be my biggest surprise. And then I would also probably just, season's not over yet for them, but the Bears, they're definitely better than I was expecting. I don't know how they're going to finish the season because they do have some tough games here. So,
you do. Kyle, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, hard to disagree. Like, I definitely didn't see the Bears being this much of a contender at this point in the year or this much of a player. I knew it was possible, but I didn't believe it would happen. Obviously, the Pats, like, if you heard our dialogue in the preseason, I wasn't as high on the Pats as maybe Keenan was, but I definitely didn't see a 10-game winning streak and a 1 seed.
No,
you know,
I thought that was going to be 10 games total.
Right?
I didn't see 10 in a row.
So I didn't see that. And if you heard me talk about the Seahawks, I thought the Seahawks would be anywhere from a 7-win team to a 9-win team in that range. So they've surprised the hell out of me how successful they are. Obviously, you know, there's other teams that started off hot that we didn't think would come this far. But the biggest surprise to me, it's got to be the fact that we got a 44-year-old quarterback coming out of retirement to play for the Colts by the name of Phillip Rivers. Was not on anyone's, to use a cliche internet term, was not on anyone's bingo card, I believe, that Phillip Rivers would have not only come back, but has apparently been planning to come back and has been in game shape. Someone even said better game shape
He's
than
a
he was.
Hall of Fame semifinalist.
Hall of Fame semifinalist. And has apparently been running the Colts offense with the high school team he coaches. I can't wait. This is my favorite story of the year. It's overshadowed a fucking crazy Sunday we just had, a crazy week 13 of football, week 14 of football that we just had. That's got to be the biggest surprise. If we're saying players, teams, anything, it is definitely this Phillip Rivers development. And I know everything says it's practice squad, this or that. Like, he's clearly going to play. I don't know if it's going to be this Sunday, but he's very clearly going to play. If not this Sunday, for sure next Sunday. Absolutely, Phillip Rivers, biggest surprise.
Bouncing off of Phillip Rivers, the team that they're playing in that whole division as a whole, the Seattle Seahawks, the Rams, and the 49ers, I think that coming back against the Seahawks on the road for Phillip Rivers might end in him not playing another game, because it's very scary. He doesn't have an easy road because it's them, it's the 49ers, it's the Jags, it's the Texans. It's going to be scary for Phillip Rivers. Hope the best for him and hope he comes out and actually gives the Colts a chance to try to make the playoffs if they get a couple more wins here. But my biggest surprise would be the NFC West as a whole. I thought Matt Stafford was going to be good, but I thought the back was going to be a little bit of an ailment for him. And so with him 35 touchdowns to 4 picks, they're 10-3. I thought the Rams could be a good team, but I didn't think that they were going to have 10 wins at this point in the season already. I thought they're going to be an 11-win team because Matt Stafford was maybe going to miss some time, but he's been special. Devontae Adams has been a perfect red zone threat. Puka is trying to be the best receiver in the league. That team's looked great. The Seahawks, we thought the Seahawks could be solid and just a tough out, but none of us thought that they were going to be possibly leading the NFC West at the end of the season. So Sam Darnold's been a surprise for me. How good that Seahawks team as a whole has been a surprise for me. And then last but not least, I want to talk about the 49ers, and they're more surprised not coming into the year, because coming into the year, we all felt they had the chance to win the division, but Nick Bosa goes down, Fred Warner goes down, Brock Purdy goes down, they're missing Brandon Ayuk, Ricky Pearsall's missing time, Jawan Jennings hasn't been there every single game, and they're still, George Kittle's missed time as well, and they're still 9-4 and alive for the division. So I thought that the NFC West has been the biggest surprise to me, because I didn't assume that this division was going to have three representatives in the playoffs, and unless a collapse happens from one of the three, they're going to have three representatives in the playoffs, and just each team I thought was going to be really interesting. So the NFC West, I would say, for me, has been the biggest surprise. Obviously, I still agree with the Patriots and the Bears too. Like, those have been super surprises, and obviously a 44-year-old quarterback coming back. Like, your guys are great. All of those are surprises, but the NFC West surprised me.
I can't say I was too surprised by the NFC West. I didn't see this much top-end dominance. I didn't expect, like, Rams and Seahawks. Like, to me, those are the two best teams in the league right now. I think the Seahawks are as good as the Rams. Rams are obviously a safer bet. I wouldn't all the way say the Niners are going to be in yet. Granted, they have a schedule that looks like it could, because I think they got the Titans left, and I feel like they got one other easy team. But the Lions are right there. Lions helped themselves out a lot with that win, obviously, against the Cowboys. So, but they got
the Titans, they got the Colts, they got the Bears, and the Seahawks. So, like, if they win their next two, they should be. But the thing is, even with the Lions, I think we're only going to have two teams from the NFC North, and it's because each of them play each other. Like, the Bears still play the Lions, the Packers still play the Bears. So I think that just by process of elimination, those teams probably won't get to 11. Not all three of them will get to 11 wins, and one of them will be out as a 10-7 team, as I do think that just the 49ers are at least going to go 500 over these next few games, as they're starting to get a little healthier, and they had the bye week last week. So that's why I think they'll make it. But realistically, they could fall. They could fall, and they could get to 10-7, and maybe they do miss the playoffs. I mean, it's still a possibility, but I would put them in if I.
I get what you're saying. So you're saying the Bears, like, if it were between the Packers, Lions, and Bears, whatever team falls out, I got you.
Two of those three, I think, will make it. One of those three teams most likely will not, just because of where they stand and them having to play each other. I just think the records is going to be a little bit difficult for them to all three of them to make it, unless the 49ers just, like, lose out.
I think the way it is,
which I think having the Titans on your schedule and losing out is going to be incredibly tough.
Exactly. Because I think the way it is right now, Niners are the 7, and then Lions are the immediate 8. They're the immediate bubble team. So, yeah, this time of year, man. This time of year.
Yes.
Right now, the Bears are the 7, because they went from the 1 seed down to the 7 seed.
Yeah.
With the loss.
Okay.
Yep.
So yes, they are. They'd be set to play Green Bay right now. The Lions are 8-5 with the 49ers at 9-4. So, be interesting to see. But overall, those are some of the biggest surprises. What are some of your biggest disappointments this year in the NFL?
The whole Ravens and Chiefs teams, both of them. Like, I get it, at one point the Ravens were definitely injured, but there were definitely a lot of games that they should have won, should have been more competitive in, that they just absolutely haven't been. And then with the Chiefs, honestly, it's not even really Mahomes. It's like every pass catcher just doesn't know how to catch a football, it seems. And it's just costing them big moments, big games. So definitely didn't think when we did the preseason pod and Kyle said that the Chiefs were going to miss the playoffs, didn't fully believe it, but I was at least on board with the fact that they got really lucky with a lot of one-score games last year, and that variance would come back. I didn't think it would swing completely the other way, and they would only win one-score game this year and not 15 of them. So.
True that. My biggest disappointment, it's hard not to say the Ravens, right? It's just such a question mark right now. It's just such a question mark with how Lamar Jackson's playing. Clearly he's hurt. Clearly he's not himself.
He's not practicing ever.
Right.
So, like, that's
right.
So difficult.
But it's also hard to say. Honestly, let me say this, since I'm talking about the Ravens. I think they got hosed in that Steelers game. There was 3 calls that were very iffy, namely the touchdown takeaway from Isaiah Likely. I actually thought the worst call was on the I don't know if it was a field goal I forget what point in the game it was, but they had a guy going up to block a kick. He was over the left guard, and the way his body moved, just because it was physical, he ended up over the center, and they called it an unnecessary roughness call, automatic first down. I thought that was the more egregious call over the likely call. And I want to hear your guys' thoughts on the likely touchdown no call, because it was very close to me.
I thought it was a touchdown.
I thought it was a
That's
touchdown.
as simple as can be.
I do think it was closer than people
for me.
said.
I
think it was closer than what people are reaching out to.
It's close.
But if I had to lean one way, maybe a touchdown. I don't know if there's enough to take it away either. There's a thing there.
And yeah, no, that's the thing. And Timmy, I think probably would have said the same thing as I am going to say right now. But I just think you go with the call on the field, because like if there was nothing conclusive to tell me, oh, this wasn't. So like if it's 50-50, tie goes to whatever you called on the field. The call on the field was a touchdown. You just make it a touchdown. For me, whenever I see something in real time and think it's something, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be that thing. Unless it's like a both feet in bounds where you can clearly see, or a fumble where a runner's knee wasn't on the ground. Most of the time you can see that kind of stuff, like on the replay, even though in real time you might have missed it. But 9 times out of 10 plays like that, it looked like a touchdown, felt like a touchdown. To me, it was a touchdown. To me,
I think it's a touchdown. I think the NFL's in like a really weird spot, because if that catch was just on the boundary and he got 2 steps in like that, we wouldn't be debating whether or not he had possession at all. He would be in if that third foot was coming down out of bounds. It's so hard with the possession thing, right? Because possession is not the same when it comes to a catch than when it comes to like other parts of the game. Like if you go look at the Chargers and Eagles game, the play where Hurts throws a pick and then he gets the ball and then fumbles it in the same play. Yeah. He didn't take 2 steps with the ball, yet he still gets credited with a fumble for that. Whereas Isaiah Likely definitely took 2 steps, didn't get the 3rd step for whatever reason. Now we're counting 3 steps. And then that's where they're incomplete.
It's 3 steps or a football move, whatever they deem a football move.
To me, catching it subjective. 2 steps and then reaching the ball like out of the defender's grasp is the football move. He obviously didn't get it all the way out of the grasp, but like it should be a touchdown. I agree with what Keenan said. There's definitely not enough evidence where you can be like absolutely conclusive to turn it the other way.
That's the main thing. Yeah, that's the main thing. And the only thing I'll give the refs in this case is I do find it interesting. Like if Likely catches the ball exactly how he did, let's say there's no defender there. So he gets the 2 steps and immediately drops the ball in the fashion that it kind of immediately got out of his hands. In this case, I do wonder how they score that, because we do know, everyone knows the rules, 2 steps, but rarely do we actually see someone catch the ball, come down 1-2, and then just immediately drop it just because, I'm safe, or I believe I'm safe. Yeah. So that part, I can see why there's disagreement, and I can see why there's dissension, but I agree with you. There's just not enough there to overturn it the other way. You can't say whether it is or it isn't, right? So that's my thing with it. I would say overall, I'm more disappointed in the Steelers, though, just because I don't think this is one of Tomlin's better jobs. We've seen him with worse teams and pull out more. That was kind of my whole thing with will the streak ever die with Mike Tomlin, the whole 9-8 and above streak, above 500 streak. Yeah. Which, because of this call, might stay alive. They might get 2 more wins and get to 9 wins. But I don't think it's been a well-coached team on either side of the ball. Part of that's obviously Rodgers, too. Rodgers hasn't looked great. He actually played one of his better games against the Ravens this past Sunday. But I think I'm more disappointed in how the Steelers have looked rather than the Ravens. The Ravens, you can kind of make a case for why they've looked this bad. And then, of course, Lamar's hurt. I do want to say, though, Keenan, I was watching, it was Bills-Bengals, right? And we see Josh Allen ice the game, and probably in 5 minutes of real time, flip to Ravens Steelers, and it's Lamar Jackson 2-minute drill. And my confidence between Josh Allen and the 2-minute drill to Lamar Jackson was much different.
Completely different.
Much different. I had a much different feel.
I even had more confidence in Joe Burrow. I'm not going to lie to you. Like, to me, mentally, I was like, if Joe gets this ball back, if they stop him on 3rd and 15, they're realistically at 50 seconds with Jamar Chase. And like, I was like, they can easily go get I said a bucket, but pretty much a bucket, go get a touchdown. But you're right. Like, I don't have that same confidence in Lamar, and I think it's because we've seen Allen play at the pinnacle of what football can be played at some of the highest leverage moments, and we really haven't seen that from Lamar. He's had one really good playoff game, and it really was just the second half against Houston. Outside of that, and Pittsburgh. He played very well against Pittsburgh last night. I give him credit for that too. But other than those couple moments, Chiefs at home, drop the ball. Titans at home, drop the ball. Like, it's just been so many of those moments, and you're like...
Only grace I'd give him was that first year. What was it? Was it 2020 when he won MVP? Whatever that second year of his career.
18, I believe.
They weren't really supposed to be in that
18.
position. So that one you can kind of give him grace. And we see it all the time with first-time starters in the playoffs. And then last year, too, he did what he had to do in that Bills game. He did everything he was supposed to do in the second half of that Bills game.
He rectified the turnovers, but the turnovers early, I think, kind of put them behind the eight ball. But he did, in credit to him though, because like a lot of the things that we've seen, like Tom has turned the ball over early, but he's came through late. So in credit to him, he did turn it around. So you're right.
And that's what I would say. Like, he's looked shaky the past month. And it's clearly due to injury. It's clearly not
shaky's nice,
right? Yeah, like it's clearly not the fact. Like, this guy, if he's lost it, he's lost it. Then we're never seeing the Lamar from week one ever again, right? And I don't think that's the case. Clearly, he's hurt. They're either going to limp their way into the playoffs or they're just not going to make the playoffs. But they're obviously a disappointment, but they're also clearly hampered. And I think we're gonna, whether they miss it, whether they make it, I think we're gonna get a lot of is Lamar that guy talk, which is gonna be unfair because again. It'd be one thing if it was interceptions and it's decision making. He's clearly hurt and doesn't even want to leave the pocket. Like, it's a whole stylistic thing with him. So, yeah.
Timmy, do you have anything to respond to that before I go to my team that disappoints me?
The Baltimore versus Buffalo game was just very telling of how the Baltimore season is going to go. Like, in that game, I was like, yeah, I have no reason not to think Lamar can get another score and at least ice this game, put it away. But from that point on, it's just literally been downhill straight up. And then they leveled out at one point, and then here we are kind of going down again. So, it's been tough for him.
I agree. I think the Ravens have been a disappointing team. I think the Chiefs have been a disappointing team as well. And it hasn't done with the fact of they are losing games, because at some point you're going to naturally lose games, but not even making the playoffs is a disappointing thing for the Chiefs, especially when they're Super Bowl focused. But it's just the way that they're losing these games. Kelsey dropping a lot of balls. There was a Chris Jones play where Trevor Lawrence fumbles the ball and then still gets in the end zone. Mahomes throwing pick sixes in that game against Jacksonville and just underthrowing balls and just looking off. Like, I think Mahomes has had some high highs, but he's also had some low lows. And I like things like the Texans game was a low, but I think that also he could have been better statistically in that game. You don't get the 2 drops from Kelsey. You don't get the drop on 4th down from Rice, which I don't even like why they went on it for 4th down anyways. But I think those two teams have been disappointing. But a team that I also want to mention that we don't mention often is the Atlanta Falcons. They're a team that I thought were going to be, they have no realistic reason why they couldn't be 7-6. And the Bucs have been a little bit disappointing over the last little bit of time too, because obviously they started 6-2 and we thought the injuries, we thought they could at least go 1-2 against the Patriots, the Bills, and the Rams, and then they would be able to almost run the table, but they just lost to the Saints. And now that division's wide open with the 2 games against the Panthers.
You didn't even mention the Panthers, but surprise teams.
So the Panthers have been a little bit of a surprise team. Like, it's a surprise team for us in the preseason, but not a surprise team at the end of the year because we had them as maybe a sleeper for the division. But anyways, with the Falcons, it's just that they looked at the beginning of the season, the tough game against Tampa, a team that we respect. Okay. And then Minnesota, the 22-6 win. We're like, okay, so they look decent. Blown out 30-0. You're like, I don't love the blowout, but they responded with a win against Washington bye week and then responded with a win against Buffalo. And we're like, 3-2, this team might be able to fight for a playoff spot, and then lost 5 straight. Lost to, it's just things like that where Atlanta, you feel like they have the offensive talent, they have talent defensively, and you just think that this team can at least be a set an 8 to 10 win team roughly around there and fight for a division spot, fight for the playoffs, and they're already out of the playoff contention. So it was a disappointing year for Atlanta, and there's just got to be some changes that are made there in the end, because I just think it's almost an organizational kind of just feel of how they go into games. It just seems like no one's surprised when they get blown out 30-0 to the Carolina Panthers. Like, what?
Let's say it was pretty surprising at the time. At the time when it happened, people were pretty surprised.
Yeah, people. Okay, so they were pretty surprised. Yeah. Okay. So in fairness to that, yes, but looking at it, like, I don't know. I guess like Atlanta losing games is just Atlanta. Like in games that they shouldn't lose or games you don't expect them to lose is just like Atlanta. Yeah. Like you expect them kind of to beat the Jets. Nope. They just Atlanta their way out of that game. Like just things like that where you expect them to win these games.
We do got to add they got a washed up Kirk Cousins at the helm for the last 3.5 starts at least. Mm-hmm. So we do got to add that.
They were 4 out of the 5 they did lose, like down that losing streak. 4 out of the 5 was with Penix. And they were even close games. It's just still like they just
they're on their 5-game losing streak. They've had Penix. I think Kirk Cousins has started their last 3.
They had Penix for 4. Yeah, no, I'm saying so they had they've only lost 2 of their last 3. Before that, there was a 5-game losing streak. In 4 of those 5 games, they did have Penix. So they were already looking on the downslope, and then Kirk Cousins comes in, beats the Saints, and then they lose to the Jets, and then they lose to the Seahawks in embarrassing fashion. But so those are those biggest disappointment surprises. And then the last thing, which kind of can lead us into what happened overall in last week, because this is really how you're going to get this. Your top 3 contenders, I wrote NFL, AFC, and NFC. And within that, I think we can really discuss what happened last week, because last week helped shape some of the contenders and what we feel about them. So overall, we can just kind of talk about that in both. Timmy, you start with some of your contenders and how you felt about last week's games.
Last week we had a good amount of chalk. I picked completely wrong. I think I got like 3 games right last week. It was pretty tough for me. When it comes to contenders, LA is number 1, and that's like not even a question for me. I have them over like every team in the league. I think LA is just they should walk to a Super Bowl the way that this NFC is. I think the only team that can give them a fit is Green Bay. I could see a world where San Francisco and Seattle both kind of mess things up for them. But this week we get a great preview of what I think will be a playoff game. Maybe we get Detroit versus LA. I think Detroit can definitely get into the playoffs, and I think they'll probably get in over the Bears. So I would probably still like Detroit, to be honest, to be in that top 3. So those 2. And I'll give you an AFC team if I have to. They all kind of suck. Out of this whole AFC, the real one that I would say is like my favorite to get there is Buffalo, but not very far behind them at all is Houston. I think the defense could just absolutely wreak havoc on teams through the playoffs, and they could walk there on like a Ravens Super Bowl run with Ray Lewis, where they're scoring like 16 points a game, but it's enough to win every single game in January. So those are like my 3. It's so tough. I have this sneaky feeling that this is the year that Green Bay gets it done, but they're going to have to go through LA at some point. So I don't know where that works out for them.
Yeah, if you want me to go NFC, AFC, honestly, if you really want, all y'all got to do is listen back to the tiers episode of last week and just go peep the tiers. My top 3, though, I mean, NFC, it's Rams and Seahawks. I really do think the Seahawks are right there with the Rams. You have more confidence in the Rams, but as far as top to bottom, Seahawks got a real defense. They shut down the Rams in that second half. You just got to have Sam Darnold play an average game. They can run the ball. They can throw the ball. They can lock you up. They're physical. They're well-coached. They're smart. I love the Seahawks, right? Rams, obviously, Tim laid out, like, Rams are the best offense in the league. Right now, with a healthy Stafford, they're the surest bet in the league. My 3rd team out of the NFC, I know I had the Packers, like, in the flawed contender spot. But I honestly think gun to my head right now, if this team made the playoffs, I think I like the Lions better than the Eagles and the Packers. And that's tough to say, but like if you're telling me they make the playoffs, I probably feel better about the Lions. But right now, as it stands, Lions out of the playoff picture, I probably have to go with the Packers by default with them being right there. AFC, it'd be the Bills. Bills are my top team in the AFC. No worries about them. Then I'm probably going a 2A, 2B of Pats and Broncos in some order. And then at 13 is the Texans. Texans are right there. And I can't believe I'm saying this, and I wish Brandon Petty was here to hear me say this, but the Jags might be a sleeper, Keenan. They fucking might be a sleeper. They're definitely not in my top 3, but I can't believe what they're doing. They actually look like a real competent team that like knows what they're doing and knows what.
Trevor over the last couple's been playing very well.
I can't believe it. That might have been the kiss of death. Like they might. I don't know who they play this Sunday. I think what is it? They got the Texans this Sunday. Who they got?
They play the Jets this Sunday.
Maybe it'll be right on schedule, and they revert and they fucking lose to the Jets when they're supposed to win. But they look.
They're gonna jag.
They're absolutely gonna, because as soon as you get confidence in them, they do something like that to take all that confidence out.
You're 100% right, Tim. Thing is, though, they've had the opportunity to do that the last 3 weeks, and they haven't. It's been scary how competent and how living up to expectations they've been the last few weeks. But you're probably right. It's probably right on schedule. They lose to the Jets, and we can all kind of write them off again. But if you got to give me a top 3, give me the Bills, give me the Pats / Broncos, and then the Texans. I kind of cheated there. And honestly, I got more confident in the Texans maybe than I do in the Broncos and the Pats currently. They look scary. They look scary. And, again, we got to go for a jail ball Super Bowl between the Eagles and Texans. I'm all for it. I'm all for the 6-3 Super Bowl if we got to watch it.
I'm not, because I watched a semi jail ball Super Bowl, and it was 13-3 Patriots Rams, and I wasn't really.
It wasn't hard hitting though. It wasn't jail ball. It was barn ball.
I guess it was one of the schematics, like what we're doing. It was a Bill Belichick schematic game, and then Brady made a couple plays.
I want it to be but this is tough to get the 3rd-2 type of game, because that's how both of these defenses are playing with Houston and Philly and Denver.
Honestly, for any sort of jail ball, if Houston's involved, it doesn't matter who they're playing, because like their offense looks anemic at points. So like a mid-level defense should be able to hold them to 13 points. I think Packers Houston would be better, to be honest with you.
I think so, because I wish the Houston offense was a little bit healthier with Mixon and with Tank Dell and that, so you could actually get them to have some offensive firepower too to go along, because Green Bay obviously has the capabilities of that offensive firepower. In the NFC, it's the Rams, it's the Seahawks, it's the Packers with the outside team. My 4th one, if I had to give like the 4th team, it would be the Lions. Then in the AFC, it's the Patriots, it's Houston, it's Buffalo with my outside team.
You got Buffalo at 3.
I think that.
Hit me.
Yes. I have no. I mean, well, kind of, not really. I didn't order these. I actually have Buffalo 10. I have Buffalo and New England to me are next to each other, and then I think Houston and then Denver. So that's kind of how I have it there. I think this playoff's going to be interesting. This week's matchup with Buffalo and New England will be a very interesting game here too. We'll see how the Patriots, after winning early on, after winning all these games, when the Bills are taking them seriously, how they stack up with Buffalo. It could be a wake-up call for the Patriots to either get to where they need to be, or it could just say like, hey guys, believe in us, we have arrived, because Buffalo wants to win this game, because they still in their minds are like, why can't, if the Patriots fall a little bit, we can still get to a 1, even, or get to the division. They want to be a 1 seed. They're going to try to play for it. So, but those are the teams that I have. Speaking of Houston, because like all of us mentioned Houston as being a true contender, what were your thoughts on Houston versus Kansas City, to kind of start to talk about what happened a little bit last week before we get into maybe a little bit of this week?
Pretty much what Kyle said, just talking about like jail ball defense, hard hitting, like no catch is going to go unpunished, even if it's like a catch for a screen pass. They're going to try to pick you up and fucking slam you on the ground. it is fun to watch them play defense. It's not fun to watch them play offense. So that's where they're like this team that I could see not a lot of people having a lot of faith in them. Coming into that week, they were the only team in the league that hadn't allowed a top 12 QB performance. I thought that Kansas City would figure out a way to get that done. Nope. Houston's that team. I think they'll be that team for the rest of the year. It's going to be a pretty damn good defense going forward. I really like them as a defense. I think if they run into Buffalo early, that's where I think it could come crashing down, because I do have confidence that Buffalo could win like a 17-14 game and just, eliminate them early, which would be good for the rest of the AFC. So
True that. Texans are the team you don't want to see if you're an AFC team. What I'm going to remember about this game, like everything Tim said is correct. Like the Texans squeezed the life out of the Chiefs in this game, but they caused them to panic. That 4th and 1 call, like we talked about jail ball, the Chiefs were like matching them on defense, right? Which is why that first
Chris Jones in the second half was disgusting. He was all
man possessed.
Yeah.
That's why it was so troubling to me when they go for that 4th and 1 or 4th and whatever it was on their own 30 with 8 to 6. I think it was 6 minutes left with your defense.
Yeah, there was no need to go for that.
Defense playing great. It'd be one thing if Stroud was carving them up. Then okay, if you really think your defense can't stop them, by all means. They got desperate. They got scared. They went for it. They got the drop. Mahomes made the play. They got the drop. But point is, you didn't have to go for that. Then they went for it the second time, which made a little more sense. But, I mean, Houston's offense had no life. They were automatically in field goal range after that play. They do go down and kick the field goal. I mean, they just made it so challenging and troubling on themselves when they didn't have to, which you don't see from championship teams. So, disappointing from the Chiefs in that regard, because they shot themselves in the foot when they could have just, here you go, it's your turn to hold serve. And I'm pretty sure their defense would have held serve. Pretty sure their defense was going to do the job. So
they've done it all year. They shot themselves in the foot against the Jags. They couldn't get off the field against Denver. They obviously couldn't stop Dallas. Like, it's just like they just continuously get in these situations.
I do want to add
last night.
I want to add just one last thing, Keaton. I forgot to respond earlier because you said said when the Chiefs disappointed you, like part of it is how Mahomes is playing. I think Mahomes has been playing like this since 2023. I think they've gotten away with so much these last 2 years, especially last year when he won 4 games. But I think it all really caught up with them this season. And that's why I was so big on, like, if they're not winning 11, 12 games, it's going to be tough for them to make the playoff. Like, that was my whole thing. Granted, I have them at 10 games. But it was the whole reason. Is because, they are good. Yeah, they probably are more talented. But Mahomes has not played at Josh Allen's level or even what Lamar was playing at the last 2 years, really. He was coming away with the wins and even what Burrow played at last year. But he wasn't necessarily elevating his team. He was doing just enough. And this year, I mean, he's had 2 really good games that I can think of, one being against Dallas. But, I mean, he hasn't taken off the way we would have assumed he would, especially at this point in his career. He's supposed to be in his prime right now. He's kind of falling off. Yeah. He's kind of falling off.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those he's played 4 really good games, but 3 that we're going to fully count. It's against the Cowboys, against the Lions, and against the Ravens. He was super great in those games, and he played really well against the Raiders, but it's the Raiders, so yes, he played well against the Raiders, so you count that one, but yeah. The thing with Mahomes that's more shocking to me, in the last couple years, yes, he statistically wasn't great, but in the biggest moments, he was always going to make the play. And yes, I understand that there's been drops too this year. There was also drops in 2022 when they won the championship then. There's been some drops, but it's also been Mahomes missing. That's the thing that has been more. That's been more shocking is even last year, a lot of the time, he's missed early, but late it was always crisp and clean, and that's why they got so many wins. I understand that there were things at the end of those games too that had happened, but he was still crisp and clean late in games, which is what kind of separated him and why you still felt, okay, Mahomes is going to be Mahomes. This year it hasn't been the same. So going into it, when you look at his stats, it's really shocking to just like look at his first 5 years and then these last 3 years. It's like, did he peak early-ish, like statistically? And it's really weird because you would think a guy like Mahomes wouldn't do that. And maybe he can have, I'm not saying he's washed or anything like that, but there could be a resurgence, but there needs to be like a resurgence because statistically seeing 27-14, 26-11, 26-10 this year, I think like, that's just not elite quarterbacking, especially when we watched in your first full season starting 50 touchdowns, 38-6, 37-16, 41-12, like playing at that elite level. And then you have people like Lamar, Josh, Burrow, even Baker last year was 41-16. Like, you're not even getting 30 touchdowns, and some of the elite quarterbacks in the league, pretty much most of them, are getting at least a 30. He should get the 30 this year, which will be good for him. But overall, that was that. And then the last thing I just wanted to say on that game was it reminded me a little bit of when the Patriots lost to Tennessee in the playoffs. This was not a playoff game, but when I watched them play like in the playoffs and after their Super Bowl run of AFC Championship games, Super Bowl, I was like, yeah, this might be at the end of this era. Like, it just felt like, yeah, this might be like Gronk was getting older and kind of just because he was getting beat up. Obviously, there was the rumblings of Brady, and I was like, it might be the end of this Patriots-specific era. And it obviously was because Brady left after that season. But it's kind of what I felt this year. Like, Travis Kelce most likely will retire. They're going to have to retool. There's too much athleticism in other teams. Like, the Texans aren't going anywhere. That defense is going to be real, and the offense is only going to hopefully get better. Obviously, New England should be getting better. Buffalo's going to stay the same. The Bengals shouldn't hopefully be injured this year. The Ravens are going to still be there. The Colts, if they are able to figure out the quarterback position now that Daniel Jones is out with the Achilles, like, they should be there. So, like, there's a lot of things there where the Chiefs will obviously be in the mix, but they might not, like, they've been head and shoulders or at least above the rest of the league for the most part. It doesn't feel like that's going to be the case moving forward.
I do definitely get some vibes of it coming to an end. I personally still think, actually this year Mahomes has been, I do agree that the last 2 years before this were kind of like, he wasn't impressive. He would win football games, but he wasn't making like crazy throws. He wasn't like Kyle said, elevating the team way above everybody else. It wasn't anything like that. He was just playing good enough football to win enough games and then make a playoff run, go to a Super Bowl. This year, I think he's actually been playing better, much better. He's looked a little bit better, making a lot of throws. It might just be recency bias, but I think a lot of it is on wide receivers. It's not just like Rashee Rice this week and Travis Kelce this week. He's had a lot of other misses with wide receivers catching balls, dropping stuff. So it does kind of feel like it's coming to an end because, like you said, Kelce's probably gone. I don't think Hollywood's going to be there for very long. I think Juju's already pretty much gone. Like, both running backs could easily leave. They need a new one of those.
Worthy needs to take that next step. It's really Patrick Mahomes, Rashee Rice, Josh Simmons at tackle are like your three future picks offensively, and then Chris Jones. We'll see how long he stays.
Defensively, they only have a couple guys. Like you said, Chris Jones, when we were watching the Texans Chiefs game, I texted the group chat. It's crazy that I even said this in 2025, but I said Chris Jones legacy game. He hasn't been good this year. He's been like mid at best this year, which is crazy to say because he is a top 5 defensive tackle and he is a game wrecker. We just haven't seen it like at all. They really have Trent McDuffie, George Karlaftis, and then I know I'm forgetting one of their linebackers.
Leo Chanel has been pretty solid.
Who's the other backer that I can't?
There's Drew Tranquil. There's hold on.
The one with the dreads.
Nick Bolton.
Nick Bolton, that's the one. Those are like the pieces, and then after that, it's kind of like they don't have the pass rush that they've had. And the last few years, it has a lot of that pass rush has just been sacks. It's been Steve Spagnuolo dialing up crazy blitz packages. And when you play a team like CJ Stroud, that's going to work a lot of the time. They do need to hit a lot of pieces. They need more wide receiver depth. They need probably a tight end. They need a running back. They're going to need offensive line pieces now because they got both tackles, I think, out right now. Like, there's a lot of pieces right now before we can say that they're going to enter back into the dynasty conversation, I think. I think this could be 1, 2, 3 years, maybe. I think 3 years would probably be the max before I would say they're like back to a Super Bowl team every year.
Yeah, and realistically, like, it just doesn't, like, we always think because obviously they had such a great run for 7 years, and then we see what Brady did early and then Brady did late, eight straight AFC championship games, and obviously 3 Super Bowls in 4 years to start. In between, you had some great years and also you had some down years, but like, usually it's in a 4-year increment with these teams. Like, you get a cycle and then you have to pay for a bunch of people. Like the Seahawks, where they peaked, they had their time, and then they went down. The Broncos, they peaked, they had their time, they went down. Like, that's all. Like, that's the ebbs and flows of the NFL, and it just seems like this is going to be that. They've extended it much longer, so shout out to the Chiefs because they've done something that only a few other teams have ever done. But like, that's just the ebbs and flows. I mean, the Patriots did go 10 years without winning a Super Bowl. They did go to 2. They lost both of them, but like, they were the Mark Sanchez we get blown out years, or the Ray Rice 80-yard touchdown to start a game. And the year we lost to the Broncos, the Champ Bailey Broncos in the playoffs early, and just there's a lot of bad, like a lot of in-between years other than the 2007 year and the 2012 where we got to the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to sound like Skip Bayless or someone like that, but I truly feel like the league caught up to me when it comes to the Chiefs, because I really haven't thought the Chiefs were a great team their 2 last Super Bowl years. The year they won against the Niners, and then last year where they make it against the Eagles. And that's why I was so big on like exactly what you're saying. Like, this is kind of a gap year almost, or kind of like an in-between eras year. Like, I was fairly certain that was going to be the case. And I even agreed with y'all, like, before the year. We all agreed, like, this is going to be their best offense in a while. I just thought between their schedule, between how they've looked the last couple of years, I even stumbled across a clip the other day, like, where I asked, I think it was the 4 of us, I think we had Brandon here, and I asked y'all around this time last year, I'm like, you guys think Mahomes' best years are behind him? And I think by and large, everyone was like, no, like, it's kind of crazy. It kind of, I mean, you kind of just mentioned it yourself, Ian. So, like, you just never know with this team. I did say before the year, I do think that I was going to buy stock in next year's Chiefs. Now I'm kind of even questioning that. I do think, like Tim said, I think it could be this year and next year, kind of a rebuild, 10-win kind of thing, and then maybe that 3rd year where they could go off. But I wouldn't be surprised to see them back in the mix next year. They're going to be.
Yeah,
it all depends on how they retool.
They'll be in the playoff mix for sure. They'll be in the playoff mix, and if they're in the playoffs, you don't doubt them. You don't want to bet against them because of the guy they have at quarterback. But they need a running back for sure. They need to get that running game going. When they were most dangerous, especially offensively, is because Kareem Hunt was at pinnacle. Kareem Hunt, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, pretty good offensive line. And then Mahomes chucking that thing around. I think like getting Jeremiah Love would be like my number 1 pick in this draft. Like he is, Jeremiah Love's gonna be special. Like, and like he's gonna be special out of Notre Dame. Like, if they got something like that, okay, you're like, okay, now maybe this team could be back in a year. Yeah, and the thing is, they have a pick now that possibly could be top 14.
Yeah, they're gonna be picking in the mid first, so they could definitely get Love wherever they. Yeah,
so something like that.
It's crazy because when we think Chiefs, we think they're picking 29th overall at the earliest.
Right. Yeah.
So.
One thing I do want to say, and you mentioned his name, Keenan, Xavier Worthy. Like, we all were like, how could the Bills give up that pick and let them take Worthy ahead of him when that could have been a weapon for Josh Allen? He has been so disappointing this year. I thought for sure, like, if it was going to happen for them, I thought we were going to at least see some Tyreek Light moments from Xavier Worthy. He really had one good game when he came back from injury, and it's been crickets for him. So they need him to pop in a big way for them to have any sort of success. Because if they just miss on that pick, or they have to trade him, or if they lose him in free agency, I mean, that's going to be a big part of maybe why they don't do something big. That was the case with Brady in the later years, where the receivers just didn't pan out. Worthy is someone they had big stock in being like Tyreek Light. Oops. Yeah.
No, 100%. I agree with that 100%. Is there any other teams that you guys are pressing on your mind that like, hey, we want to talk
Philly.
about this team? I mean, probably I was about to say Monday night, we have the Philly and we have the Chargers. Jalen Hurts has the 5 turnover game, 2 on 1 play, which is crazy. And then the pick to end the game, which is the thing that had made him very good, was he was going to win you games, and lately has been losing you games over these last few weeks. So I know Jalen Hurts has always been a topic of conversation on this pod and been arguably our biggest topic of conversation, I would say, over the last probably 6 months.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Keenan,
so,
I very nearly last night texted the group chat requesting a QB tiers with the addition of Phillip Rivers and how Jalen Hurts has been playing. Because I still think it's asinine that he was number 5 still on your last edition. Like, and he's only gone downhill since then. So I very nearly requested.
He'd be lower.
What's up?
He'd be lower. He'd be lower. I mean, we got. I'm just saying we got a few more weeks.
He was ahead
and
of
then
Stafford
we're gonna get the
before
play,
that.
and then we're gonna
the
get the
initial
playoff.
version. He was ahead of Stafford before that. The week before.
It's because of how I had it, but then we talked through the fact that I should do more of a snapshot of how things are, and then we're talking about it. But I'm excited. I'm excited to do the playoff one.
Where would you have him right now?
Playoffs,
like, if you don't have to give me the exact, but if you had to give me a range,
can you give me 5 seconds to look at every team just so I don't forget anybody? I'm no order of before him, just people I'm taking. Mahomes, May, Allen. I'm go obviously off of just past, even though he's been playing bad. If you have a healthy Lamar is a weird one just because of how bad he's been playing. But Burrow, Justin Herbert, Dak Prescott, Jordan Love, Matt Stafford. So that'd be 10. And then there's guys that you could have arguments for. Baker hasn't been playing well as of late, but if you want,
let me throw him out.
That would be
let me
guys
throw some out,
like
and you tell me yes or no. As we stand on this date right here, December 10th. By the way, happy birthday, Nate Kennison. Shouts to you.
Happy birthday,
we hope
Nate
to have
Kennison.
You on the podcast sometime before the end of the NFL season. All right, Jared Goff. Who are you taking right now?
Yes. I forgot Jared Goff's name. I missed.
Sam
That
Darnold.
wouldn't be a question. No, I don't trust him as much in a big spot.
I'm taking Darnold. Right now, you're not taking Darnold to quarterback your team? If Drake May goes down, they give you Hurts or they give you Darnold?
To quarterback the rest of the regular season, it'd be Darnold. To quarterback a team in the playoffs, it'd be Jalen Hurts.
I wouldn't want this version of Hurts anywhere near my team.
I'm just saying, I mean, Sam Darnold, like, what has he done to prove himself in any big spot yet?
Oh, fair enough.
Like, and I've seen Hurts do it. So, like, that's why if you just told me the rest of the regular season, I would say Sam Darnold. But
I could also say we've seen Hurts flame out like this 2 seasons ago. Would be my counterpoint.
He did play terrible against the Bucs, but we've only seen Sam really play bad in these spots. We really haven't seen him play well in a lot of these spots. He did play well against Tampa early, but he played the Rams, big game, 4 picks.
Maybe, but I mean, I think Darnold was 8 in your last year. So tell me Darnold slid down since then in the same way that Hurts has?
Darnold hasn't played as well over the last few weeks. They've been winning games, but if you go through Darnold, he hasn't been as good. And I think probably a little bit because players like Jordan Love have played much better, obviously. And then also the Lamar is the interesting one. Joe Burrow wasn't even in the last one. Joe Burrow is back. So, I would have to add him and include him.
Let's go.
So, yes, probably Darnold.
Let's go
would be
Baker, the one that started this initial one. He's not playing well. He slid. What do you think about Baker?
See, I think they would be right next to each other right now. Where if you said, I think you can win more with Baker, I would understand it. But I've seen Hurts do it, so I would lean Hurts off of pedigree and what he's done.
Can I give you what my counterpoint with Baker and Darnold in contrast to Hurts?
Sure.
Would be that at the very least, they can move you the ball down the field consistently. Hurts is legit struggling to do anything on offense. We saw the double turnover even, which that's just a fluke play, but it's fun to mention that we had 2 turnovers in 1 possession.
But that's fair.
Hurts is just struggling at the position at large right now. He looks like a rookie. Fair. And it's been over a month. Would be my concern. I still think they get They're at 8 wins right now, correct?
They're
5.
8-5,
I still
yeah.
think because they got 2 Commanders games and they got the Raiders next week. They're for sure going to get to 9, and it's likely they get to 11. So it might be all for 9, and their defense can kind of carry, but it's scary. It looks scary. It looks very reminiscent of 2 years ago. But Hurts looks even worse.
So I'm gonna ask too, Timmy. Do you think the Cowboys have a chance to make the playoffs and
Yep.
win the division?
Yep.
I figured you would. Obviously, do you think they're going to?
Probably not. I think if I'm correct, the Eagles have to play Commanders twice. So like that,
It goes Raiders, Commanders, Bills, Commanders.
so they should squeak out 2 more wins, and then at that point, I would say no. So
Dallas, if they only got 2 though, and Dallas won out,
they could tie.
They would be in because the Dallas has to tie. Because the Eagles would be 10-7, Dallas would be 10-6-1. So I'm just saying, in that scenario, if they lost one of the Commanders and they lost to the Bills, and the Cowboys went out, the Cowboys are actually in the playoffs, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm. It wouldn't surprise me if Philly loses to the Bills and they lose 1 to the Commanders, and maybe they lose both to the Commanders. Like they're beatable
That would
right
be
now.
wild.
The
That would be insane.
Is bad. Like the offense is not good.
I think if you obviously we don't know how the season's going to look and we don't know what's going to happen. Things could happen. But just for both of you right now, Raiders, Commanders, Bills, Commanders, what would you say that the Eagles record would be over that 4-game stretch on just a guess?
2-2, probably 3-1.
Yeah, a 2-2 problem. Would you lean 2-2 or 3-1 more? I'm just curious on this.
Commanders,
not holding you to it.
Commanders are bad, but they're playing with house money. They got nothing to lose. So like, maybe you get that weird shootout game.
Mm-hmm.
I'd probably say they go 3-1. They only lose
probably
to the
say
Bills.
3-1. Kyle, your thoughts?
For Monday night's game, where honestly I was all in on the Eagles, I would have told you for sure 3-1. Now I think it's possible they lose one of those Commanders games, but the Commanders are the most uninspiring team I've seen this year. They're the most nothing blah team I've seen this year. And that includes the Titans and the Raiders. I'm so disappointed in the Commanders as far as competitively speaking, though they did show up against the Broncos.
Yeah.
So for divisional purposes and how the Eagles have looked, yeah, it's possible. You lean a little bit more towards 3-1 though. But if you're going to look this bad on offense, why not? Right? Why not? So 2-2. I'll go 2-2 actually.
Yeah. You go 2-2. So I think the Cowboys are realistically 3-1 and they might win out. So they play Minnesota. I think they beat Minnesota. They play New York the last game of the season. I think they beat New York. They play Washington on a Thursday night. That's going to be interesting, but I think they can beat Washington. It's going to be the Chargers on the 21st.
Keem, that's the funny thing.
I think
that's a funny thing. Keem, you mentioned the Commanders, like that they both got them. I'm way more confident that the Cowboys beat the Commanders than I am the Eagles.
Yeah, they always beat the Commanders. Like that,
but
they
even
just
in general,
don't lose
just like
to that team.
Just the two teams right now, how the Eagles are playing, how the Cowboys are playing. I have way more confidence in the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys are better right now than the Eagles.
Yeah.
I just don't think the stadiums reflect that.
Yeah, that's fair, and that's why I think this is actually an interesting conversation. Because if you think that the Cowboys can beat the Chargers, realistically, you would give them a chance to win out against Minnesota, Washington.
Where's the Minnesota game?
So that for Minnesota's at home.
Where's the Giants game? Is that in New York? No, that is
at New York.
That's gonna be a little tough. That'll be a little tough. Giants have life, whatever.
So I hope they beat the Chargers and they go 3-0. And I hope the Eagles lose to the Bills. And even if they win the 2, because that means the last week of the season, the Commanders will be playing the Eagles and the Cowboys will be playing the Giants. And if the Eagles lose and the Cowboys win, then the Cowboys are in. But if the Eagles lose or if the Eagles win, then they're in. So basically, I'm not booking it, but I would think that the Cowboys are going to win that game. So it basically come down to the last week of the season. Eagles lose and they're out. Eagles win and they're in if the Cowboys can win the other 3 games, which I hope they do because I think chaos is fun. So I think that going into a week 18 where everything matters, maybe Broncos, Patriots 1 seed, and Rams Seahawks division bout for like, I mean, I'm not playing each other, but like division bout, or Lions, Bears, and Packers are fighting for the playoff. Like, I think all of it's gonna be fun. So I hope it's
0-1 since the positivity bunny or positivity rabbit was included in the lock.
Yeah, one of the
Did
craziest
you hear the
things.
news?
They shot him.
No.
AJ Brown stabbed him.
Hey, wait, really?
I saw it on Twitter. They said I saw a deflated bunny picture, and they said AJ Brown got the best of it.
I believe it. If
I
there
do
was one
too.
player you would tell me, it'd probably be AJ Brown on that team, or Jalen Carter. Any of them,
Yeah,
honestly,
no.
but especially AJ Brown. He's just unhappy in general with everything at life.
But here's the thing. The thing about AJ Brown that gets me is we've heard nothing from him really since he's been getting just force fed. Like, he hasn't really said the crazy things in the media
That's
or
how it
anything.
goes for receivers,
and that's
though. As long as they get
a
fed.
$110, 10 targets, $110, 12 targets, 132, 13 targets, 100 yards. And like, it's crazy that this year that they are right. They're 2-3 when AJ Brown goes over 100, but they're 0 for their last 3. They beat the Rams on a fluky-ish win because obviously the Rams had a field goal for the win. They block it, they return it for the touchdown there, and then they beat the Minnesota Vikings 28-22, and AJ Brown had a big game. But other than that, like, that's gotta, like, I just don't know. That's got to come to an end. You got to move him after the season. It's going to be interesting to see what happens this offseason with AJ Brown, but I'm really happy.
Be there.
I'm happy about it.
He'll still be there for whatever reason.
I don't know. I think you almost have, like, morale wise, it's almost like just too much conversation and talk. Like, at some point, like, I don't know, but that's me. Anyone have any other teams they want to talk about? Any other points that they want to discuss on the NFL season? I know we touched on a lot of different teams, topics, and things. I don't know if anybody has anything before we get into Thursday night predictions, Atlanta and Tampa.
I'm good.
You're good, Kyle? You have anything else that you wanted to speak on in the NFL? Or even NBA or anything, like, any thoughts?
Well, it's Cup night. It's Cup night part 2, and then we get...
Yeah.
We going to Vegas this weekend? Is that the Vegas games? Like, we get them this weekend? Or is it next weekend?
Yeah, the 14th, 15th, around that time. So, yes.
So I guess that's cool.
Yeah.
I guess that's cool. I still have not all the way bought into the Cup, mainly because the players aren't either, but it's a cool little thing we get right before the NFL playoffs and all that. So, yeah. Shouts to the NBA Cup.
Right. Oh, golly. So the Suns are playing the Thunder. It was a 15.5-point spread. It's a 30-point game mid-third. I mean, I didn't expect this game to be close. Oh, there's no Devin Booker. Okay. Yeah, you could have chalked that one up. Yeah,
are they beating the Warriors record?
Shea has 23. Maybe. I'm actually, like, decently confident that they're for sure getting 70 to me.
What I said.
And it's just, they're for sure getting 70. I almost think it'd be better if they did it.
Exactly what I said to Tim.
I just think that, I think a lot of the Warriors, like, they were so focused on it and playing in tough games and late in the season. Obviously, Steph gets injured in those playoffs and then has the Portland I'm back game. But I just think that the little bit of wear and tear, and I mean, I get they were still up 3-1 on the Cavs, so it wasn't like it only hindered, but I just think it can be a mental drain, and then it could be a lot, and then they had everything they could against the Thunder to get out of that series. And I think that this year, the Nuggets could pose the same kind of threat. And I think that the Western Conference is tougher now than it was for the Warriors team. Like, don't get me wrong, I think the Rockets, I believe they played in round 1. They beat them in 5. And then they played the Blazers. And I think that if the Thunder have to go through Golden State round 1, as I think they would beat Golden State, it could be just an interesting series because they know how to win games, but it could be interesting. I think the Thunder would get them out of there, though. Then you see maybe a Rockets team or a Spurs team or a team like that. And then you get to a Nuggets team or vice versa. I just think it could be really difficult for them. So I think that, honestly, unless they coast to it, I think it'd be better for them not to get it. But I realistically think there's a shot. there's a real shot. Because if you get to 70, then I think 3 more wins is not out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah, you got to go for it if you're close, but that's what you wait. It's exactly the
100%.
same thing. You know, that's what bit the Patriots in the ass, and it's kind of what, like you said, bit the Warriors in the ass, even though they should have.
Yeah.
Probably just took care of business, but you know, things happen. Draymond Green got a suspension, and LeBron and Kyrie did their damn thing.
Dope, yeah.
But you know, with the Pats that season and the Warriors, from March on, or you know, once you really set the pace, you're playing playoff games from the regular season on. Patriots are probably playing playoff games from week 10 on at that point. So the intensity is different. You're right. I do think it would serve them to maybe lose a couple more so they don't get to 74. Because, yeah, man, to keep up that pace from March to April through the first round, the second round, through the conference finals. And again, you'll probably have to face 2 real teams on the way to the finals. But once you get to the finals, like, yeah, you're probably good as of right now.
Yeah, no, I was going to say that, and I was actually, shout out to Doug, guy that cuts my hair. Shout out to Doug. He's a Knicks fan, and I was talking to him about this, and I was like, the only way that like this would be reminiscent of the Warriors season where they obviously lost in the finals is if Giannis joined the Knicks and Giannis went nuclear. Because I think you would need an all-time great to have a Herculean effort the same way LeBron did to beat a team like. So, especially for how the Eastern Conference is laid out now. So, like, somehow you'd have to be, like, would it be Cat for Giannis, and then they get some role players.
I think they need to get, I said on the last pod what me and Tim did, Giannis for Brunson. I think Giannis and Towns is a way scarier fit than Giannis and Brunson.
Whoa. Okay. I think it's interesting. It just depends on, I think you do need guard
Sure,
play.
but Giannis can be your guard.
Yeah,
Josh Hart can do a little. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like who's scarier, Jalen Brunson, and you got Giannis as the roll man in the pick and roll, or you got Giannis with the ball and you got to worry about cat popping or getting Giannis at the rim.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that's much scarier.
Yeah, no, a Josh Hart, OG, Mikal Bridges, Giannis, and Cat lineup is kind of tough. So, yeah, no, I get you. It's the same thing when I think of, like, with the Spurs. If they traded De'Aaron Fox for Giannis and you got a Dylan Harper, Stephon Castle, Giannis, Wemby, and insert your 3. Like, there's multiple 3s you could have on that roster. It's like, oh, God.
And then you get Thanasis, too, to really put you over the top.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to put it. Timmy, I know you don't watch as much basketball. Do you think that the Thunder are going to break the Warriors record? Yes, no?
Yep.
Do you think they get to 75 or just by 1 game?
75 would be tough. Obviously, 73 is still extremely tough. I'll probably say 74. So they just get one over.
75
Watch
and
them go like, imagine them go 77 and 5.
Golly.
It was
be
the
like
same
our 2K
thing.
seasons when, Kyle, we load our teams and, like, for some reason there's teams that beat us and we're like, wait a second, how are we beating Mike, Magic, and Kareem? Like, how are you beating this team? But yeah, I just caught him. But I genuinely think realistically it can happen. Like, I realistically think it can happen. It's just because the depth that's there. And honestly, if I'm doing it, I might start sitting like, or like playing Shea just like 20 minutes again, like doing the Magic Johnson thing. Like, hey, please get up early. So Shea just plays 24 minutes in it. Like just kind of things like that where he doesn't have to play a bunch. But we'll go to this Thursday night game that we have, which could be interesting, could not be interesting. We've got the Atlanta Falcons facing off against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Tampa. Tampa is favored by 4.5. Timmy, what are your thoughts on this game? Who do you have winning? Who do you have?
I'll take Tampa, but I think it's going to be kind of a boring game. Last time we got a primetime Tampa versus Falcons game, it was Kirk Cousins at the helm to start the season, and he threw for like 500 yards in that game.
He played great against Tampa.
I think if you gave Kirk unlimited throwing attempts this year, he could not throw 500 yards. The ball, 500 yards at this point in his career. I'll take it 20 to 20-14. I think we get a pretty boring game. I think people will be worried about the Bucs going forward, because this is a team that, if you are a playoff team, if you are a Super Bowl aspirations team, you should kill the Falcons. Like, they just look like they're on their last legs right now. So it'll be interesting Monday morning or Thursday night, Friday morning.
I'm already at that point with the Bucs where I am worried about them. I agree. I think this is going to be a terribly boring game. I hate this game. It's a game that 6 weeks ago I'm probably like, oh, that's going to be a fun game. Like, can't wait to watch that. And I think it's going to be a 23-17 Bucs victory. It'll be whatever. Catch me on Is the Hype Real podcast tomorrow. Normally when I'm doing that on Thursdays, I'm like, oh man, we've actually had a pretty good Thursday night lineup this season compared to years past.
Yeah, it's been pretty.
And I would say the majority of the time when I'm doing that podcast, I'm like, damn, I'll have to like keep up on the side. Like, I have to, keep my eye on bowl. Not even worried about it for this game. This game is going to be a snooze fest, I think, unfortunately.
Yeah, I work tomorrow night, and not like the worstly mad that I have to miss this one. Kyle, what was your score? Tampa 23-17. Yeah, we're all in the same kind of vein of 5 to 6. We all have actually 6-point games. I have it 25-19. I think there could be a couple explosive plays in this game. Bijan might break one, or Mike Evans might get a ball. Shout out to Mike Evans. He might be back for this game. He is activated off of IR, so it would be interesting to see that. The Bucs, as a guy who had him going to the Super Bowl, because I thought they would be a sleeper with the easier schedule. I thought that they'd be able to get the 1 seed, and then the road goes through Tampa. Things would be going that way. If they're in this situation and they blow out the Falcons, I'll actually feel good about it, just because they haven't been able to really blow out anybody this year. Their biggest win was against the Saints the first time, which was by 20. And in that game, they didn't even look great offensively. That was their defense that played phenomenal. Should have had 2 touchdowns, but I think they only had 1, or at least close to 1. Obviously lost to the Saints last week, but I think if you get a good Falcons game and then you get 10 days rest and then you get to go to Carolina, which will be one of the games that's going to kind of help decide the division. I'd actually feel more confident in the Bucs going forward if they can blow out the Falcons, even though the Falcons have been a disappointing team. But 25-19.
You guys obviously keep up with college much more than me. I saw this news, and I'm sure you guys have, about the Michigan coach. He gets fired.
Don't know why he was fired. Fired for breaking some policy, but now he's been arrested.
So that's the thing. So it was an inappropriate relationship with a staffer. Fine, we've seen that happen. It probably, we know what happens across college sports, across all jobs, right? Whatever. Arrested. That's where I'm not getting here. Why is this guy arrested? That seems comical to me. There's something I'm missing here. Are we all in the same boat? We don't know, because that seems like an insane stretch for him to be arrested.
Yeah, unless something as he was doing was actually illegal. Like, I just don't know why he's arrested. Just fire him. That's fine. Get him out of the building. It's okay. Get him out of there. But what was he doing that makes this illegal?
Detained by police is insane for infidelity. If that's all it was infidelity.
Yeah. So
I want to say I want to minimize it. Also, you know what I'm saying, compared to
100%
assault or something like that. I don't think you need to be detained.
100%.
He was also detained by not the police department that had the charges or whatever the case is. It was a different police department that detained him and brought him to. So it was they sent the cops to go get him, which is a little bit worse than just you punched a dude, you're arrested now. Yeah.
Yeah. And just reading this, contact constitutes a clear violation of university policy. UM maintains zero tolerance for such behavior. And so just crazy. Timmy, real quick, just because I'm interested on your thoughts on this super quickly. College football playoff, did you have a big problem with it? Not really a problem with it at all, or no problem?
I think I would have liked to see Notre Dame in the playoffs. Don't love the whole auto bid for the top ranked conferences, because I made this point with in the Discord. If Virginia beats Duke, I don't think Virginia makes the playoffs. I think they would have just said not good enough, like they did with Duke, saying Duke is not good enough. Don't love the auto bid is what I'm getting at, but I actually have a bigger problem with Notre Dame being babies about it than them missing the playoffs. You missed the playoffs. It sucks. You are favored to make it in. But if it comes down to Miami versus Notre Dame, Miami literally beat them. Miami has 4 ranked wins. Notre Dame has 2. The schedule, the resume for Miami is a little bit better, so they make it in. That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
For Notre Dame to be like, that's it, season's over, no bowl game. They came out and they said that was a team decision. I kind of doubt that. There's a lot of seniors that are never going to play another game of football in their life. Just to get one more, Notre Dame should be able to field a team of players willing to play in a bowl game. And then for them to go to the NCAA and get a rule change that is specific to Notre Dame that says, hey, since we're not in a conference, if we're ranked in the top 12, we have to be in the playoffs from now on, is stupid because they play 5 ACC games every single year. They're in the ACC and every other sport except for football. Just put Notre Dame in the ACC, and then they'll be the ACC champions every single year. And then we don't have this argument at all because they would be the 11th ranked team. They would have made it in over James Madison or Tulane, and then we don't have that problem. But they stay out, they stay independent, and then they cry when they don't make it in. It sucks that they don't make it in because they're a team that has championship level experience coming back to do this again, and they don't get to make it in. Sure, I think they would beat a lot of teams in the playoffs right now, but hey, if you don't lose 2 games in nearly historic fashion, then we're not having this conversation at all. If they're just 1 win better, so
no, I'm with that too. I agree with you 100% on that. Like, yes, we understand. Just join the ACC. It's not that difficult. Like, it's just join the ACC. The ACC is more than welcome. They've reached out multiple times. It's not like it's any new. Just join the ACC. It's really simple. And you'll never have this problem again where you will feel like you're not playing on the last week. And I understand conference championship games are starting to fade out of those really mattering, like, because of the fact that you have 12 teams. Like, it doesn't fully, it still matters, but doesn't matter as much. The thing that gets me is I understand that you want to offer things to schools like James Madison or Tulane, and like they've played hard and like they've deserved to kind of be there as well. But I mean, does anyone think that Tulane and James Madison are truly better than Texas and Notre Dame? I don't know. So like maybe I know
even BYU, which got punished for losing a conference championship game. Like, we're trying to make that argument on why Alabama is even in the playoffs right now. But
that
BYU get bumped.
Me too.
They're just kind of going back and forth on whatever argument they have on why teams are in. Well, this team's in because of this, but this team's actually out because of that exact reason, and it doesn't make any sense.
That's why I thought Notre Dame was going to make it over Alabama, because once we saw BYU out, I was like, oh, Alabama must be out. Because, and if not, then BYU should be in. Like, I just don't think you could have one without the other. Mm-hmm. They both didn't just lose. They both got blown out. So, like, neither game was close. It wasn't like you could say, oh, Alabama was a 3-point game. It was 28-7. They both scored 7 points against a better team.
I got to say, obviously, I say it all the time, I don't keep up with college football, especially. It seems like 2 things, like between the NIL and between like now this tournament, it seems like more headaches than before with college football. And the BCS was like always an issue when I was growing up. Like, people didn't love that system, and with reason. It was a flawed system, a very flawed system. I really almost think like a 4-team tournament. So how it started out, right? It was 14. That seems like the best middle ground, man. Because once you open it up to 12, you get all these cases, and like you said, it seems like committees picking and choosing what teams are in, what are out, and they kind of conflict with each other. It just seems like way less of a headache with the BCS system, because conference championships should matter. There should never be a point where your conference championship doesn't matter. Like, that's a big part of any college sport. So the fact that they have this many headaches and this much dissension, and it's only gonna continue this way as long as there's 12 teams. And let's be real, it's a money grab for the reason why it's 12 games. It'll probably eventually get to 16 teams at this point. So
they've already discussed
and
it.
that's insane. That's insane. There isn't 16. I don't even watch college football. And I know there's not 16 teams that can compete for a national championship. So I mean, keep it to 4, 6 at the most if that's possible. There's some bye weeks. I don't know. 12 teams seem insane.
I'm not gonna lie to you. The 12 team doesn't bother me as much, only because I do think that outside of the top 4, a team like Oregon, who wouldn't have made it at all, has a realistic chance on getting there. So like, things like that don't bother me. I would say realistically
10.
6 to 8.
I think it's 10. I think Tulane and James Madison are the only two that can't make it to the championship.
Miami to me is on the border,
That's
but
fair.
like I know you're right. I think there's a solid argument for at least 8, and then Bama and Miami are kind of long shots. So that's why, and I think a lot of years are like that. No, legitimately. Legitimately, for me, I think Ohio State's still going to win it. I understand Indiana beat them 13-10. I still think Ohio State should have won that game personally. But and if you think Indiana can beat them again, fair enough, because they did it. But
I don't think it's either one of those teams. I think, in my opinion, Indiana has a better chance at winning. I absolutely have not been impressed by Ohio State. They have a good defense. The offense, they're not blowing out teams that they should blow out. Like in other years where we were like confident that Alabama, when it was a 14 playoff, when we were confident Alabama was just going to walk their way to the championship and win by 40, I've never had that feeling about Ohio State this year. Never. Not once.
I didn't see. I felt like for Ohio State, and my confidence more so in them was like, they're not going to blow people out by 40. I just don't know if people are scoring more than 13. And I always felt like they could get to 21. And in proof, they held Indiana to 13, but they only scored 10. Oh, in that game. So kind of my mental, and obviously there's been games of teams who have scored more than 13, but I've always felt like realistically 21 they're not getting over, in this team with the talent they have can get over 21, which is why I've always felt like the Ohio State can.
I think Oregon. That's my pick.
Oregon is interesting, and I think Oregon's very interesting. I think Ole Miss, even if they had Lane Kiffin, I think it'll be really interesting without Lane Kiffin.
Stupidest. I fucking hate that drama. It's so stupid.
Yeah, no, it's ridiculous.
It's actually the dumbest stuff in college
football.
It's
ridiculous. But overall, I think that this playoff, there's flaws to it. I don't mind the 12 because I do think that there are legitimate teams that actually could go win it. But it just gets to a point where I would rather just the 12 best teams win it if we're going to continue to devalue conference championships and like what they actually mean. So I would just say if that, and then go from there. And if there needs to even be like a play-in or something, well, not play-in, but like if their like conference championship week became something of like making the playoffs, and sure, whatever. But I would just, if we're going to continue to devalue conference championships, I would personally just say the 12 best teams in the country, and then I would like an ordered list of what matters the most. So that's all. I would just like to know what matters the most.
My confusion with all these teams transitioning from one conference to another conference, it makes it harder for you to make it into the playoffs when half of your schedule has to be your conference competition. And now we've got Oregon and all these teams joining the Big Ten, and it kind of just like muddies the water on like, okay, who is actually one of the best teams in the league? I kind of think more conferences would have been better. And then if we're taking 12, you just literally take the conference champion of every single conference, and then have yourself your mini little playoff, your 2 weeks of playoffs. And then we can actually decide like who is the best team in each conference, put them all in, and then you have 4 spots that are given out to at-large bids or whatever. It just doesn't make sense. We have all of the best teams, all of the teams with realistic shots come from 2 conferences. It's the SEC and the Big Ten, and the rest of them don't matter.
Which is again why there's the devalue, like you're devaluing conference championship games, because like, what do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 SEC teams and 4 Big Ten teams, or
Not to mention
that.
like the conferences don't even geologically make sense anymore, right? I know that's the case in basketball. So it's like, yes, the ACC, SEC, and Big Ten in name, but in location and geographically, it doesn't even matter. It doesn't make sense.
Oregon and Ohio State.
They're both in the Big Ten. Oregon's in the Big Ten. That's a Pac-10 team. Of course, the Pac-10 doesn't even exist anymore. But
UCLA and USC as well joining Big Ten.
Yeah, so like it's just something like that. Like obviously, and it's crazy that like the devaluing of like Ohio State and Michigan, like that game used to be like pretty much the winner of that game goes to the playoff. Loser of that game is out. So it kind of like added more stakes and add that to a playoff game. Now, like Ohio State lost to Michigan last year, and then they did go on a great run because they beat Tennessee, Texas, Notre Dame, like to get there. But like
my favorite part about college football conferences is it's literally called the Big Ten, and there's 18 teams.
It's crazy.
It's like the Final Four, but we have 16 teams left. Like,
yeah, it'd be like the Final Four really being like the round of 6 or the Sweet 16.
It's like, oh, we meant 4 games. Like, what?
It's just crazy. No, it's crazy, and obviously everybody's been bashing college football because like the schedules and stuff are like, it's crazy to think that
drama.
When I talk to Lane Kiffin. My last point that I'll talk about was when I was talking to coach of the Miami Hurricanes, which actually has to be a friend of Dad's. He was talking about like, yeah, we're recruiting during this, like a lot during the season, and like the end, like it's just so crazy to me that like you're mid recruiting heavy while trying to win games. And like obviously you want to scout and all that kind of stuff, but could you imagine the NBA having a draft in March?
Kind of wish.
Like, what are we doing?
I kind of wish that's the way the WNBA worked out, honestly.
Well, it pretty much does almost, because you have college, and then 2 weeks later is the draft, and 3 weeks later is the start of the season. Like it's pretty, like college players and going into the WNBA, they're just playing straight for a year, pretty much, and then they're just taking their time off. So like, it's interesting, but whatever. Well, if we have nothing else here, Warner Brothas Podcast. Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, all at Warner Brothas Podcast. We appreciate all of you guys. And again, we'll be seeing you guys very soon.